Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the You Need You podcast. Today's special guest is a very interesting, very outgoing, very smart individual that I wanted to have on this episode to bring his opinions and his views on mental health, relationships, fitness, whatever it may be. Whatever comes up, we're just going to go down the rabbit hole as we do on this podcast. But this is Spencer Allman, and he also has started a platform on TikTok called Men's Talk Media. You can find it at MT Media on TikTok if you're interested in that. But I'm going to let him introduce himself, just say a little bit about himself, and then we'll get into the questions. All right, man?
Thank you so much, dude, man. I don't even know what to say after that. That was great. That was great. I'm like pumped up right now. Like it was like a WWE entrance right
Yeah.
there.
Spencer Allman!
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what's up, guys? How are y'all? So yeah, basically, I'm Spencer Allman. I have a TikTok. MTM Men's Talk Media is what it's supposed to be, and it just promotes men's mental health and just different things to look out for, and that I basically just put things on there for people to relate to, just different situations. Because I know I've been in plenty of situations to where I've been like, oh man, like I got to handle it alone, like I got to do this alone, and there's been a lot of times where I've just had to like stuff things like deep down because I'm like, man, like I don't know anyone else that has went through this type of stuff,
Yeah.
and like I just felt alone. So I just wanted to make a TikTok and put content out there for people to relate to, for people to be like, oh, you know what? He's going through this. You know, he's been through this. Or, wait, I can relate to this. I can feel for this. And just have like a motivation to keep going, because at the end of the day, sun sets and the sun rises, man.
Yeah.
Time doesn't stop. So regardless of what you're going through, man, it's just all about how you can get over it and then just keep pushing forward. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much what it's all about. Other than that, I'm in school right now. I'm trying to be a surgical tech. So
Oh, cool. I didn't
that's
know that.
that's been,
Nice.
yeah, that's been pretty interesting. That's been pretty interesting. Suck at science, so through this biology
I'm
class, it's like, man, it's tough. But other than
actually
that,
in bio right now, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's
awesome.
all right. It's all right.
Yeah, dude, it sucks for me, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I act on the side. I have been a part of a George Sink commercial. Those
Cool.
of you like in the southeast, it's there. But yeah, no, he's basically a lawyer. And then I have a movie that's supposed to be coming out at the end of this month. That it's a horror movie. It's a little indie horror film. So
All
pretty
right, man.
excited for
Well,
that.
definitely after this, text me the title and everything, and I'll throw it in the bio so people can look out for it. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. So you said you started creating content because you wanted people to know that they're not alone in what they're going through. That was like your main inspiration, because that's the
Yeah.
question I was about to ask you. Like, what
No,
inspired
100%. That's the main. Yeah.
you? Okay, because as someone like I found you interesting and I wanted to have you on the podcast because I also do the same thing where I make videos on social media. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
have oftentimes been like, no one else I know does this. Am I like weird for doing this? Am I like too motivated for doing this? Am
Yeah.
I like cringy even for doing this? And it's
Dude, yeah.
like up and down the hill, man, of like being. And then once I came across your channel and like I met you at work and stuff, I'm like, okay, this guy's like pretty outgoing. He has like kind of the same mindset around that type of stuff. So I think that's really cool. Um, how do you deal with like naysayers or like people who might think you're too motivated or too out there? Or do you just not even think about it? Because I know that's something that I've been before. I'm like, I make a video and I'm
Yeah.
like, this might impact one person, and that's all that matters to me. But there might be a lot of people that are like, oh, he's at it again. Like, why is he so like crazy about working out? Or why is he so, So how do you deal with that? Or
No,
what are your thoughts?
100%, dude. All of that stuff I've dealt with, and all of that stuff I've heard. Especially like with the gym stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, all the time, like I used to post all the time on Snapchat, like little gym updates and stuff like that. On my other TikTok, I have a little bit more of a following. And I posted all kinds of gym stuff on there before. And that was
Gotcha.
the that's one that I've really like grown a little bit. But honestly, everyone has a dream, everyone has goals. That's the way I
Yeah.
look at it. And everyone is an individual. Like there's no other way to put it. Like everyone is themselves, and no one is going to do something for you basically.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're the person that you are. You're the person that is waking up in the morning. You're the person that is that has to take those steps to complete your goals and get to whatever your ultimate goal, like that you're trying to get to. No one else is going to
Yeah.
do that for you. So my thing
Yep.
is, whatever all these other people have to say, that's fine. They can say whatever they want. They can have their opinions. Everyone has
Yep.
their opinions. If they want to have a debate, we can have a debate. A debate. Like I love having little arguments and
Yeah.
being
Yeah. No,
able to
that's fun. It's good
share my
picking each
side of
other's
things,
brain.
hearing
Yeah.
somebody out, hearing the way they think about things. I love it
Hmm.
because yeah, it gives you a different perspective, a different point of view. Especially if I can make someone see the way that I'm seeing things and feel the
Yeah.
way that I'm feeling things. Um, but yeah, no, honestly, a lot of times I tone it out. If it's the people that I'm closer with, like let's say I know at the very beginning, family, close friends and everything like
Yeah.
that, they
Yeah.
for the most part, now they're a little supportive of it. But at the very
Yeah.
beginning, they were just like, dude, like that's kind of weird. Like what you actually think that you're gonna like
Yeah.
yeah. But the thing is, it may sound a little cliche, but there's one in a millions out there.
Yeah. No,
What's
for sure.
stopping you from being that one in a million?
Yeah. And I
The
know
only
it's
thing
a
stopping you is yourself.
yeah. And when I read David Goggins' book when I was doing 75 Hard, and one of the big things on there that stuck out to me, he's like, everyone, like, basically, I don't know word for word, but it was like your dream dies when you like stop believing in it. Because like you could, like, if you like, let's take something crazy, for example, like a rock star. If you want to be a rock star and your whole life that's all you ever focus on, all you ever did, and you never listen to anyone that's like, oh, that's not a real dream, then it's very possible that, but you have so many people in your life that tell you, oh, it's not, you need real goals, real dreams, go to college, get, stuff like that. And then that eventually dwindles someone down to have doubts about like what they're actually doing. So I
Yeah.
admire that you're chasing after that. I can relate that a little bit too, because I come from a very like small town in Pennsylvania. So it's like, it's very common to just live and do your own thing and not really be active on social media in the way we are, I think. So
Yeah.
but I've been doing it for so long. I'm like, I don't know. I probably lost a lot of followers from back home because they're probably annoyed at the
Dude,
stuff I post all the time.
it's it's tough because like so my family, the way I grew up, my family, I grew up on a farm
Yeah.
and my family, very southern, very like redneck, like blue collar,
Yeah. And
type
then
people and everything. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like they hear this stuff for like the first time and everything. They just hear this and they're like, "What are you gonna do with that? Like what? Like oh, you think
yeah.
you're gonna do something with that?" Like
Yeah.
my grandpa, for example, whenever he was growing up, he dropped out of high school to go work on the farms. He dropped
Yeah.
out of high school, immediately started working on the farms, and then literally did that until he started his own trucking business, and then he
Mhm.
did good.
Yeah.
He did pretty good with that for a little bit, but these it's the very traditional mindset
Yeah,
is what it
exactly.
is.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I don't know if it's a generation thing or like a personality thing, but I feel like I also come from a place where it's very like you kind of just grow up, get a job, and start a family. It's like, no, I don't want to just get a job. I want to like do my own thing if I can. And then if I do have a job where I do work for someone, I want it to be something that I like strive
Absolutely.
for and like achieved. Where I
Yeah.
think it's very common to be like, oh, why don't you just work in the mill? It's like, I don't want to do that. No offense to anyone that does,
Yeah.
because we do need those people. And it's just
Yeah.
a different lifestyle.
Much
But
respect, but
like for
yeah.
me, I could never like in my head, I'm like, and the army helped me get out of that mindset too, because I went from being in a very small town to being like, oh, like this dude is my buddy from Las Vegas. And then he'd tell me all his
Yeah.
crazy stories, and I'd be like, what in the world, dude? Like
Right.
you have a much different childhood than I do. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's just cool. So diving into men's mental health, what do you think the biggest misconceptions about men's mental health are?
Uh, I mean, a lot of people they just don't pay attention to it. Like, I mean, obviously exist. Obviously,
Good point.
I seen the episode with your dad, which something that really stuck with me is your dad. He said, obviously, everyone has it. Everyone
Yeah.
has mental health. It's just there's levels to it and everything. Which that as far as the misconception on men's mental health is that everyone thinks like it's a very traditional mindset, and a lot of these things come down true to previous generations. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like
Agree.
dads, and like a lot of like father and son relationships being like dads telling them, hey, stop crying, or I'm going to give you something to cry about, or
Yeah. Yeah.
like there's a lot of that stuff. And me, for example, like I grew up with that type of like teaching going up, like stop crying, I'm gonna give you something
Same.
to cry
Yeah.
about, or
Yeah.
like all that stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but basically, we were taught that stuff your feelings down inside because no one cares.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you
Yeah.
gotta, like you gotta,
It's like inward. It's your own battle. Like no one else
yeah.
cares about what's going
It's
on.
like you gotta
Yeah.
figure out.
Yeah.
You gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
And to an extent, to an extent, I see it. To an extent, I see it because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you are the one that has to make those decisions, and you are the one that has to put in the goals and steps that you have to take to overcome whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But
I I definitely think there's a time and a place for being able to like kind of compartmentalize and like stuff it down and get
yeah,
shit done, and then be like, okay, now
yeah.
what's actually going on?
But at the
Yeah.
same time, that's not for everyone.
Yeah.
At
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
same time, not everyone has the emotional intelligence to be
Hmm.
like, okay, you know what, I can handle this and I can go
Yeah.
through this. A lot of
Hmm.
people, they have it like, okay, I'm in this hole, how do I get out? And then they don't find a way out. They just keep going and hitting corners, hitting corners, hitting corners, and then they
Yeah.
just feel like they're stuck. And then that's
Yeah.
where, a lot of times like suicide rates will come up because then they're like, okay, I don't know what to do. Like, I just wish I wasn't here.
Yeah.
They're like, no
For
one's
sure.
there. No one's there for me. No one understands how I feel.
Yeah.
And then that's a lot from where the me making the TikTok came up from. Is because it's like, okay, well, how do we stop this? How do we help this?
Yeah.
It's
For
to
sure.
provide something to relate to. A
Yeah.
lot of the
And
movies that you see that you go ahead.
I was gonna say it's good that you make that content too, because it is stuff like you talk a lot about relationships, and we'll get to that. But a lot of stuff you say, I'm like, I can like relate to this in my past relationships. I'm like, yeah, he's on point. But like when you're in the moment and you're going through stuff, it's like
You're
you do
blind.
feel like you feel like you're literally the only person. There's 7 billion people on this planet, and you somehow your small
Yes.
ass brain thinks that you're like the only one going through this. And then you
Yes.
realize, like, dude, like when I was thinking about starting a podcast and all that stuff, like something as small as like a podcast title, I come up with something, I'd be like, oh, that's so creative. Go on Google,
Yeah.
someone took it. It's like people are very much alike. You know what I mean? Everyone
100%.
is alike and more than we think. And then we're also
Mhm.
very different. But in the
Yeah.
aspect of knowing that you're not the only person going through something, I think is super important. But
Yeah.
yeah, go
No.
ahead. Talk about what you're
Absolutely.
saying.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it's just that's the reason why I made that TikTok is because it's like, yeah, I want someone to be able to relate to something. It's like whenever you have these big movies and everything. Like there's a movie that came out not too long ago. It's called It Ends With Us. And it's a
Yeah.
love story. And it was very controversial after it because of everything that happened within the movie. That's besides the point. That's off topic.
Yeah.
But
You're good.
the movie did so well in the box office. It was right up there with Deadpool and Wolverine. Everybody
Yeah.
knows how big the
That's good.
Marvel movies get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're going to
Yeah.
be huge. But the movie was right up there with them, and the
Cool.
movie had very few marketing and everything. But the
Hmm.
reason why the movie did so well is because a lot of females could relate to the movie because it was on domestic violence
Okay.
and
Gotcha.
just like abuse like within relationships and things that a lot of females go through and that people
Mhm.
go through on both sides, the male and the female. But the thing is, the reason why it did
Yeah.
so good is because it's something that people can relate to, and if you can relate to
Gotcha.
people, then it sticks.
Cool, man. I like that. That's good. Yeah, I definitely went and saw Wolverine and Deadpool, and Jocelyn took her
Yeah.
mom to see that movie. So
Well, it ends with us.
yeah, yeah,
It was a good movie, dude. I watched it. It was
yeah.
good. It was good.
Cool, man. So can you share however personal you want to get is up to you. Obviously it's a
I'm
public
open.
platform, but can you share a personal experience or maybe even a story that highlights the importance of mental health, like for you specifically?
Importance of mental health.
Yeah,
Um,
or like your journey, or like kind of like a specific story that you realize like, oh, I need to make sure that I'm good,
yeah.
or anything like that.
Basically, like you said with my TikTok, a lot of the stuff is about relationships and
Mhm.
the things that people go through in relationships. Because I mean, I feel like that is where a lot of problems within young men specifically
Yeah, I
come
agree.
up. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're in school and everything, and even some ways that people are brought up, it's always like, oh, what girl are you getting? What girl are you getting? This,
Yeah.
this. Like, it's
It's
always
almost
about
like
a girl.
Yeah, it's like the thing that weighs most on your
Yeah.
mental health pretty much at our
Yeah,
age.
it's almost like a girl or a person, who,
Yeah,
however the,
has the
you know,
power over you. Yeah,
you
yeah.
do things. Yeah. And basically there's two sides to a coin. Basically there's the good, and then there's the bad. There's always
Yeah.
two stories to it. And a lot of times, men, they end up getting the, no, I'm not, a lot of times, but then a lot of other times, everybody has a different situation, that basically the guy gets painted as the bad person.
Yeah.
Gets
Yeah.
painted as a bad guy. And I've personally been through that, not within this past one. I
Yeah.
was it was this past one. I mean, I think everybody was pretty much on my side, on my side with everything. But that previously, um,
Yeah.
I pretty much got painted as the bad guy whenever it was kind of just like, okay, like, you don't see what happens behind closed doors, because it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very different.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, there's just two sides to it. There's two sides to everything. There's always a story from everybody.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's, I mean, I don't know. That's,
Yeah, I think it's cool that you brought up that point too, because it's always seemed to me like in relationships when it's like comes to negative stuff or like breakups or whatnot, that it's always like whoever like likes or like is close to the one person just blindly takes that side. And not that it's about sides, but it's very much like, dude, like her family's gonna hate me even if she was in the wrong type deal. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just because that's how it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
But it
yeah. I
is
mean,
unfortunate that the man gets painted specifically as the bad guy.
yeah.
But like we have
Well,
life so easy, you know?
yes. I mean, the way that I see it is everyone has their own story. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, unfortunately, whenever someone is
Yeah.
telling their side of things, they leave out the
Yeah, it's
things where
biased
they
for
went
sure.
wrong. They leave out
Yeah.
the parts where, okay, but they did this, and then that's what
Yeah.
led to certain reaction that they got out of a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
And I actually talked to Ethan on the past episode about like this a little bit because I was like, it's important to like self-reflect because I realize like from my past relationships, maybe it takes some time and maturing to be able to do, but I definitely now where I'm at, like in a much better place, can look back and be like, yeah, I definitely played a part in the toxicity of that shit,
oh
you know? So
yeah,
and then even like learning from like my mistakes and being able to apply it to like new relationships and stuff, I
yeah,
think is really important. So I
and that
encourage
is,
people to self-reflect, you know, and not just be like, oh, they did me wrong. It's like, yeah, but like, what did you do? You know?
yeah. No, no, 100%, 100%. Self-reflecting is very important,
Yeah.
because the the past relationship that I had, not this past recent one, but one before that, I dated a girl for 3 years,
Okay.
and in that relationship, basically, it literally just fell apart at the end. And looking back on it, there were so many things that I could have done differently. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
me thinking about that, and I took a year off of like freaking dating or like try with anyone.
Yeah.
And I was like, just I did nothing but self-reflecting, just in there thinking about, okay, what happened in that, where did that go wrong, like what could have possibly started that. And a lot of the things I found, like, okay, I could have did this differently. I could have did this differently. Instead of doing this, I could have did this for her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, vice versa, because it's, it's a two-person dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes two to dance.
Hmm.
And so then what I did was I took all of that and then tried to put all of that, everything that I did wrong and everything that I could have done better,
Yeah.
into this new one. And
Yeah.
this new one that I found, like, I was like, now I've done self-reflecting on this newer one, and it's like maybe I did too much.
Yeah. Well,
Because
yeah, I get you.
because
Yeah. Or be
everybody
like,
talks about, or go ahead.
I was gonna say, or maybe it could be like, I feel like you've made TikToks almost about this kind of thing. Is like you can, if it's the wrong person, basically, no matter what you do, is like kind
There's
of
not.
what is it? What's the word? Goes, it's in vain. You know what I mean? It's just
It's like,
goes to waste. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's very true. So you can have as much money as you want. You
Yeah.
can give as much love and as much care to your partner that you want, but at the end of the day, they choose whether they want to stay or not.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to stay, more than likely they already have one foot out the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of
Yeah.
just like whatever you do at that point, both people have to be making the effort.
Yeah.
It can't be 75-25 because like still at that point then you're giving too much. And even whenever you give too much, if they're not willing to accept that and appreciate that, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
It's not going to do much for you.
Yeah. I agree, man. So let's tapping into the relationship subject, I'll start top with these questions.
Yeah.
Just in general, like family, friends, how do those people how does having a good social network play into your mental health and help you out?
It's good to have a good support system. When you have a good support system, there's a
Hmm.
lot of people out there that I will say they don't necessarily have the right people surrounding them. They don't necessarily
Agree.
put themselves in the right circles. So
Hmm.
people aren't really looking after, okay, what's best for this person. They're
Yeah.
looking at, okay, what can I get this person to do that I can feed off of? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I think that's
So
even if it's subconsciously, a lot of times I think that's a huge thing.
it's almost always subconsciously. A
Yeah,
lot of
it's
people
not
don't even
like
realize it.
they're
Yeah,
not your they're not your friends because they're trying
yeah,
to like manipulate and use you, but they just do. Yeah,
yeah, 100%.
interesting.
I have a friend. He actually me and him just had a conversation the other day about it. So he's moving out with his buddies,
Yeah,
but he doesn't have a car. He doesn't have a vehicle or anything. So I'm like, okay, so how are you going to get from point A to point B? And then he kind of like
yeah,
dodged the question. And then I brought up the whole thing. Like, okay, I was like, dude, I'm happy for you, you know, that you're doing your own thing. I was like, but at
yeah,
the same time, I was like, just because they're your friends, don't be pressured into doing anything just because they are wanting you to do something. I was like, bro, you need to look out for you. You need to take the steps that you need to take in order for you to do great things and get where you need to be.
yeah,
And that's just a lot of the things like a lot of people like don't look out for each other, especially like in a lot of relationships. A lot of relationships, the guy, let's put this so the guy isn't necessarily there for the female.
yeah.
The guy is there for the lust that he gets out of the female.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I agree with
there
that.
he'll be a yes man. He'll get walked all over. And he'll do that just because he knows at the end of the night, okay, I'm still getting this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm still
yeah,
getting this need met. I'm still
yeah,
getting this endorphin release, you
yeah.
know? It's very
True.
dangerous. It's very
It is
dangerous.
dangerous.
It's
No,
very
I see what you're
dangerous.
saying. Yeah, it puts you in a bad situation. Yeah, that's for
Oh,
sure. I've
100%.
been there, so
Yeah, 100%,
we've
dude.
all been there. So,
Yeah.
um, so I'm trying to make sure I don't ask you something we just covered, but how does communication play in maintaining healthy relationships? Like, we can talk specifically about like romantic relationships and whatnot, but obviously communication is important. That's the thing we always hear. But
Yeah.
like for you, just expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. So communication is important across the board, whether you're in a romantic relationship or whether it's a business relationship. Regardless, communication is always needed and is always important. It's always good to be straightforward and straight up with someone. I will say in a romantic relationship, communication is very important with the right person.
Yeah.
And I say
Okay.
that because if it's the wrong person, there's been a lot of times where, and a lot of people they'll do it. I've talked about this in one of the videos that I made. A lot of people they will subconsciously, they don't mean to do it, but they
Yeah.
do it. They will use things that, let's say let's say you approach your partner on, hey, you know, this is going on, you know, this is how I feel about it, and you know, this
Yeah.
like bothers me. Some people subconsciously use that against the person, almost like in a manipulation tactic.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
some people are just toxic and like that's their personality and they haven't
Yeah.
grown to mature over that. You know what I mean? And it's
Hmm.
like they kind of need that eh, to go through more experiences, to go through more life, to go through more things to have those lessons learned.
Yeah.
So
I agree with
I
that.
think it's very important with the right person as far as romantic relationships goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's like it's almost like a kick in the nuts for being vulnerable at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the most simple way for me to say it. I know it's just like mental health
Honestly,
psych podcast. I'm over here saying getting kicked in the nuts. But anyways, it is. It's like,
it is.
yeah, it's like, it's like I told you that and like confided in you, and then
Mhm.
like it's cool then, but it's almost like when things like go hard times come
Yeah,
up or arguments come up, it kind of comes out, which is like I think the important thing about a healthy relationship is like having that security and that trust, which obviously builds over
yeah,
time. Like you have to open up. That's
yeah,
the tricky thing I think with relationships in general is because you have to take the chance no matter what. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because you don't know until you
Absolutely,
try. So
absolutely.
that's
Yeah,
the hard part.
yeah. Like some like for example, I'll say, in this past relationship, I kind of opened up, and I've cheated on someone before,
Yeah.
and I opened up to my partner about it. I was like, hey, like this has happened and stuff. And at the very beginning, I wasn't the most truthful about that because I didn't really want to go into, oh yeah, I've cheated in the past and everything. I didn't really feel like it was. I feel like me changed as a person now, it shouldn't, that shouldn't be
Yeah.
like a thing. That shouldn't be
Yeah.
really that important. So then later on, as we were talking and doing things, like, I opened up about it. I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, hey, I did cheat before, and she told me that she cheated on her ex and everything, and then we kind of had just had that like thing, like, okay, well, like, we need to make sure that this is what we want. This is, we're on the same page and everything like
Yeah.
that. And she obviously, we had the conversation like, okay, well, if you did that before, what's stopping you now? My answer was, okay, I took a year from dating or anything like that,
Yeah.
and I took that year to reassess everything and to try to do my best to figure out, okay, what happened, what went wrong to make me to where I cheated.
Yeah.
Why did I do that? What led to that? And this person, my partner at the time, she didn't necessarily take that little break. It was kind of just like, okay, she did that, she broke up with the dude, and then she moved on to the next.
Immediately.
The
Yeah.
next happened to be me. Unfortunately, the next happened to be me.
You
you
come
know?
off of it. You come off of a year thing. You're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm like, man, alrighty
Yeah.
then. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was like that, and basically it just ended up repeating itself just because that person didn't take that time for themselves. And then whenever it got down to it, she ended up getting back together with her ex that she cheated on. And whenever we were sitting there talking about it, before she got back together with him, before whenever we were talking about it, she used it against me. She was like, okay, well, you cheated on your ex before. How do I know that you're not going to do it again? And she straight up
Yeah.
told me, she was like, you're a wild card. I'd be taking a risk with you. This guy that I've been with before, he's never cheated on me, never done me wrong or anything like that. He's a safe bet. And I was like,
Interesting.
all right. I was like, okay, so you're really gonna? I was like, okay, but I mean, that's just one of the
Safe
examples.
bet. Safe bet is crazy.
Safe bet is crazy, dude.
I mean, we all got our personal opinions, but for me, that sounds kind of like um, it's like I know that this guy, even though I cheated on him before, would just take me back no matter what. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that type of
Crazy
thing.
crazy part is, a week later we were studying in a school library, and then she because me and her like go like are on the school campus about like the same time, and
Yeah.
then she went to the library, and then she tried to cheat on him after she was with him like a week later, and then that's how I knew I won.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
told her no.
Oh,
I
you
was like,
don't.
absolutely not. She was like,
Yeah.
why? She was like, why? And I was like, well, because I know you're just gonna go home, act like nothing happened, and
Oh,
do the same thing with him.
cheat on him with you again.
Yeah. Like, she
Okay,
tried, like,
okay.
after she like
Oh,
basically
I thought.
left me,
Yeah.
got back together with him. A week later after that, she tried to cheat on him with me.
Yeah. Do you think?
It
I mean,
was
you don't have to talk really about your
good.
personal experience, but do you think cheating kind of plays like I feel like I've almost felt like people might like get off on that alone. You know what I mean? Like they like the idea of like being sneaky or some shit. I don't know if that's your experience, but I think
So
like
it's
when you
interesting
see
that you say
like
that.
an example like that, it's like maybe this guy meets her needs, but she just or like anyone, is
Yeah.
just like it's like almost like and when you're young, it's like, ooh, this is the bad thing to do. Don't get caught type deal. And it's like,
Yeah, I
dude,
know exactly what you
I've
mean.
always been a friend of the truth. I can't do that because I get too much anxiety. Like, if I
Yeah.
even like said hi to the wrong girl, I wouldn't be able to like look my girlfriend in
Oh,
the eyes.
dude,
So it's
100%,
like,
dude. Yeah.
but anyways, yeah. Do you think it's more of like an actual like, hey, this person, like, because she could have went back to that person, and just because he's a safe bet and he actually doesn't meet her needs, or
Found out the dude has
is
a
it
little bit
just
of money.
some? Oh yeah, that always ties
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Especially
Oh,
when you're
okay.
like kind of older, it's like
Yeah.
kind of makes sense.
Sorry.
But
Yeah, no. It's
it's
all
like
good.
when I was building my life up, before I met Jocelyn, I was like, dude, if I meet a girl like that's like kind of has her shit together and she meets me, she's gonna be like, what the fuck? You know what I
Dude,
mean?
honestly, yeah, honestly, like, yo.
I was like, I partied all summer. I got credit card debt. What's up? No,
Yeah,
like
I
that's
got credit.
literally. But much better in a much better place now. But that's how
Yeah,
I was at the time, and I was like,
that's
but
awesome.
anyways, do you think the cheating thing is more like talking about psychology? Do you think it's more like a subconscious like almost rebellious act, or do you think people kind of do that because their needs aren't being met?
So I will. So obviously everyone is different depending on
Yeah,
each
100%.
situation.
Yeah,
Everyone has different situations that they're going through. A lot of times it is because, okay, yeah, this person isn't meeting my needs. A lot of times, like, someone's sex drive isn't on par with someone else's. So it's kind
yeah,
of like, okay, this person wants this, and this person's like, no, like, I'm not feeling it. And um, after a while, I feel like, that could get to the point where someone could feel the need. Okay, well, if she or he's not doing this for me, then
yeah.
I need to go find it elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Okay,
But at
yeah,
that point, I feel like you just need to have a conversation with the person and be like, hey, look, this is what's
yeah,
happening.
exactly.
This is how I'm feeling. But it's really interesting that you asked that question, because I was just talking about this the other day.
Mm,
Um, Basically, by human nature throughout history, it has been this way. But, like,
yeah,
humans want something that we can't have.
yeah,
If there's something that that you can't have out there, instantly, we are beings
yeah,
of curiosity.
yeah.
So
I
instantly it
agree.
makes you
Yeah,
curious.
yeah,
So then you're like, okay, why can't I have it? How can't I have it?
yeah,
And then it's like, okay, well, if I can't, how do I get to where I can have it?
yeah,
You start subconsciously asking yourself all those questions. Even if you're not actively thinking about it,
yeah,
you take the steps to kind of figure out, okay, you know, a lot of people, for example, okay, so how can I have this person in my phone without this other person knowing? It's
okay,
like, okay,
yeah,
do I delete the messages? Do I clear the conversation? Do I change the name on the person? Like, how do I do this? And then it's just, there's a lot of situations where I do feel like, yes, it is because we want something that we can't have.
mhm,
And I honestly feel like a lot of the weaker minded people fall into that.
yeah,
And it's because if you can't have self-control and you can't have self-discipline, not only
yeah,
to not only for yourself, but for the person that you are with.
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, it's like, I seen a quote the other day. It's like, you shouldn't cheat on a person because you love them, or you shouldn't not cheat on a person because you love them.
yeah,
You should not cheat on the person because you don't want to hurt them.
yeah.
Because it's very
I
easy
got
to
you.
love
Yeah,
somebody. You can feel love for anyone. There's levels to love. Obviously, there's deeper
yeah,
connection type of love, and then there's you know
yeah.
um
I
but
like. Yeah,
good.
I really like this point because I'm gonna try to explain this in the best way possible.
Go
But
ahead, you're good.
I like that you bring it up. Like you're talking truth right now. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, I think, just it's almost if you say it in the wrong way, it sounds very bad. But
Very good, yeah.
you
You gotta word it.
need it needs to be like put out there. Number one, so people don't feel alone. Because I know from my
Absolutely.
experience, and this is just my view, but like I did grow up like I was in a very like Christian like youth group, very involved in high school and stuff, and it was very um almost like if you feel a certain way, you're wrong kind of thing. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
for a very 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 long time, I think like a lot of my maturing and stuff like happened probably around like 23, 24. I'm 25 now, so like
Yeah.
recently. But for the longest time, like I have had relationships where like I like say I'd see another attractive woman and I have lustful thoughts about her. I would literally think like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I don't like really love my girlfriend I'm with because of these bad thoughts. Years down the road, it's like, hey, dude, people are attractive. You see someone that's attractive, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? So I used to really get in my head about that shit. And I like now like understanding it and being honest about it. And like, especially like putting it on a public platform is good too, because I'm always
Yeah.
like, dude, someone needs to say this type of shit. You know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
like saying the whole like, there's a very like, I mean, it's a very immature mindset, but it's like I only find my partner attractive. That's not true. Literally, there are thousands of
Yeah.
attractive people out there. The 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 like the beauty is in like the loyalty and like the commitment
Absolutely.
and that you have to that one person. So I think I like that you did bring that up because I look at it as a very like from the psychological standpoint. I always like, are you familiar with like the id, the ego, and the super ego at all? So
I
like,
feel like I've heard that.
yeah, so like just to refresh, it is like your basic instincts, right? And your
Mhm.
super ego is like what wants to do what's morally right. Like, so it kind of compensates. And then the ego is
Yeah.
kind of like the middle. So like
Mhm.
basically, yeah. So it's like whenever I think about it, it's basically like your instincts or like a religious person would call it like your simple, like your human
Yeah.
nature. That's your id, right? And then your super ego is wanting to do the right thing and then meeting in the middle and kind of like figuring out the proper way to do it in society without being wrong
Yeah.
is like your ego. So,
Yeah.
but I'm always just like, you got to cut yourself a break, but you also have to be self disciplined because I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I understand this. Number one, that's the number one thing I think is
Mhm.
important is actually understanding why you feel what you feel. And to me, I'm like, dude, this is your id, bro. This is like, from my point of view, like we've evolved over a very, very long time. We used to live in tribes, like we are like built to reproduce. Like that's
Yeah.
what a lot of people I think don't understand too. It's like, our age, like dudes in college, it's like they have a super high sex drive and they think they're like, they want to get with all these women, but it's like, dude, your genetics are just telling you to pass on your genes. That's actually what is happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the same for women. And it's like, but we crack it up in society to be like this super like romantic idea or like think you're a tougher guy if you sleep with more women
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So it's like I
Yeah.
think understanding it, and that's why I love psych so much because it really helped me to understand like just how your brain works. And
Oh no,
I'm fortunate
100%.
enough to like be in a great relationship now where like I can be real and stuff like that. Cause
Yeah.
I've had a relationship before where it's like I had never even mentioned anything like, or even here, let me give you an example. But later I was able to have the conversation with Jocelyn and be like, that's so like, that's not a good view because like, obviously a lot, like, you're going to meet a lot of attractive people in your life. And like that conversation with her was very normal because like we have a very like secure relationship. And I've been in relationships before where if I would have said something like that, they would have been like, what? You think
Yeah.
other women are attractive? And it's like, I'm not
Yeah.
saying I ever want to be with any of them or anything like that. It's literally just like the truth has no agenda, is what my dad always
Mhm.
says. And it's like
Yeah.
the truth is, in my opinion, the truth is always right. So it's like,
Yeah.
even if something may seem uncomfortable or like odd or like people don't talk about it, if it's true, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And it's something that needs to be faced rather than like pretend it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Because that's
Yeah.
when you run into problems. I'm like,
100%.
if you believe that the person that you're with is the only person you find attractive because you're in that little honeymoon phase, wait until a year when you get in an argument and then you find some random person attractive and you're going to be like, oh, I guess I don't
Mhm.
love my partner anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, no, that's not how this works.
No,
So just
absolutely.
understanding that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think so I think the best thing to do, honestly, is to be able to have honestly, like the way you were saying, be able to have those conversations with people
Yeah.
because I rather so I yeah, someone could tell me, "Hey, I only have eyes for you. I only have, all they want."
Yeah.
But the thing is, what's more powerful is for you to be able to say, "Okay, yes, there's all these
With the
attractive
choice.
people in the world that,
Yeah.
they approach me, but I have that mental strength and I have, that loyalty to you to where I
Yeah.
can kind of, turn those people down and stuff." And yeah,
Yeah. It's
they may be attractive. They may be able to, do this for me, do whatever for me, but the thing is I care about you and
yeah.
I'm with you.
It's
I
kinda like
find
the
more value in that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the beauty of like free will. Like it's like
Yes.
if you were just brainwashed and obsessed with me, obviously that doesn't mean as much as if you're like
Yeah.
out and about in your daily life, and you still like, and they're the person that's closest to you too, so they see the worst sides of you, and they still choose you. You know, that's kind of
Hmm.
it. Like you said, it means a lot more, I think.
Has more
But
value. Yeah.
yeah, so obviously during these moments, these negative experiences aren't fun, but afterwards we learn a lot about them. So I was just gonna ask like how you benefit from the negative things that you've experienced, kind of. If
Yeah.
you can elaborate
It-
on that, I know we kind
yeah.
of touched on it a little bit, but
Yeah, no, I was about to say, yeah, no, it's like I was saying at the beginning. You just basically what I've done is I've taken all of that and I just asked myself, okay, how can I be better?
yeah,
How can I ensure that this won't happen the next time? Because my thing is I don't want to put myself in a relationship with someone if I can't be better in some of aspect or ways that than before.
yeah,
Because my thing is if I get into a relationship with someone knowing that I haven't, you know, addressed any of these problems that I've had, then
yeah, yeah,
what's stopping that stuff from happening again?
yeah. I agree with
That's
that.
what yeah, that's why the ex that I cheated on. That's why I was constantly telling everyone like, okay, because I went back and I work at Outback now. Again, I serve at Outback again. And my ex, she works there with me. And I was telling everyone, I was like, I can't like because everyone was asking, okay, do you think you're gonna start things back with her and stuff? I was like, no, I can't. I can't. They were like,
Yeah,
why? What's stopping you and stuff? I was told them. I never could figure out why I cheated on her. So it was kind of like, okay, if
interesting.
I haven't figured out why what made me feel the need or feel that feeling like to cheat on her, like to go
Yeah,
behind her back, to stab her in the back and do that. I never figured out why I felt that way in that moment. So I kind of felt like, okay, if I ever tried to do that, if I ever tried things with her again, then what would be stopping me from doing that again?
yeah,
So my take on that was just I can't go back to her because it's like there's someone out there that can give her better and then
yeah,
that can treat her better than I would in the long run.
yeah. Kind of learned and yeah, moved on. Yeah.
Pretty
That's good,
much, yeah.
man. So, a cool thing too, like talking about like while we're on the subject of cheating, I saw this interesting thing, and I think it was cool. It was like this is probably more for like relationships that are like longer term, but
Yeah.
he's basically saying like once you spend all this time with someone, and once you're with this person, you know, not no one's perfect, so there's gonna be like 20 or 10% of something that they lack, right? And then the way that your mind works when it comes to cheating kind of is like you meet someone that only has that 20% or 10% that the other person is missing. But what you don't understand is that they don't have the full 80% or 90% that that person does have. Does that make sense?
Yes. So
So
then it
that's a
doesn't
cool way to
last
look at
because
it.
it's not there's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
substance.
It's yeah, it's just literally and then
Uh-oh.
if you can
Hold
like
on.
you're good, you're good.
Hello? Hey, I'm in the middle of a meeting. Here, I'll call you back. I'll call you over here. Yeah, take dog back out. Sorry.
You're good. But yeah, man. I think that's a cool way to look at it. And if you can see it that way, it's very like it's all it is learning and it is understanding, but that's kind of how I view it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that.
And
My
it's
sister.
like, no, you're good, you're good. It's not a big deal. I literally in my dad's episode, my Jocelyn walked in and I was like,
Yeah.
it was fine, but they wrote something on a piece of paper and were trying to show me why I'm on the podcast. And I'm like trying to read it. I'm like, I can't do two things at once here.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I will throw out there. I'm uh very fortunate to have Jocelyn because, like, dude, that's something that for me, like, came out of nowhere, like, blindsided. Like they say,
Yeah.
oh, it's gonna the best things come when you're not expecting them, and it's always like, yeah, it's bullshit, dude. But no, it really like did come out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
it's cool.
That's awesome.
So with her, it's very like she makes it very very easy to not struggle with all these types of things. Where in past relationships, dude, like, oh my god, you know, it's like
It's a- I
and
feel
it's
like
like, I'm
it
so glad I moved on from those
yeah.
times in my life, you know?
Well, I feel like it happens just like because a lot of like immature like tendencies that people just don't learn and people grow with. Because a lot of times,
Yeah.
obviously you'll have those times where people, it's like you'll meet someone that doesn't necessarily, like we were talking about earlier, the communication, they don't necessarily communicate very well, or they don't
Yeah.
necessarily take you communicating very well. Um,
Yeah.
or if you aren't communicating very well, there's a lot of factors at play. If you aren't communicating very well, then is it possible that that person is making it to where you feel like you can't communicate to them?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome for y'all, dude. Like, dude, all the time. Like, whenever everyone at the hangout like would go to the melt and everything, and then like, let's say yours and Jocelyn's name would come up, I would immediately tell them, I'm like, dude, they're freaking awesome. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I love everything
Appreciate it,
that
man.
y'all have going on, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. I
Happy for
appreciate
y'all.
that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, oh shit, I forget. What were we just talking about?
we were talking about um
You said things
you
come out of
Jocelyn making it very
nowhere.
easy. Jocelyn making it
Oh
very
yeah,
easy
yeah.
for you too
Yeah, that was just
to listen.
basically like my point that I was getting at is that like how we learn from the past and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, I know where I was going. Okay. So a little trip in my brain to figure out where I'm at. Um, a lot of people, I mean, how old are you?
21.
Okay, so yeah, I'm 25. Yeah, so you're like in that college age,
Yeah,
literally. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, for me, something that I found interesting before I met Jocelyn, was that a lot of girls, like I was like 24 when I met her. So before I met her, I was like, obviously, like she's much younger than me, but at the time, I wasn't like seeking out young women like around her age. You know what I mean? I was like kind of looking for like 26, that area, right? Girls that
yeah.
have already graduated college, stuff like that. And what I've realized, man, is like I appreciate you like throwing out that you've taken a year to like kind of work on yourself and figure that out, because a lot of people, baggage is not bad, but like solved issues I think can lead to like really like big problems. Because you have
Absolutely.
that like joke, it's like
Everyone has
if
baggage.
you're
Yeah,
yeah, you have that joke that's like if you're single at like 30, you're like, oh god, here we go, I'm gonna meet someone with all this baggage, who's been cheated on, who's this, that, who's cheated, whatever.
yeah,
And it's like it was interesting because it is kind of like that. I encourage people to kind of like work on themselves more before they jump into relationships, because that's one main thing. And then when I met her, I was like, okay, I already like learned all this stuff from my past relationships, like what I should and what I shouldn't do. Like even the smallest things that I used to say that were just like
yeah,
had no thought in front of them in a past relationship, I know now to be like, it's just maturing at the end of the day,
yeah,
to put it short. But it's like with her now, it's very like, okay, this is a new person. Like it's a fresh start, you know what I mean? And she doesn't have that much baggage. Like she's not like 30 and been through like all
yeah,
these different boyfriends, you know what I mean? It's been
yeah.
like she's had two boyfriends. I've had like three serious girlfriends. So it's like kind of on the same page. And that's when
Mhm.
I was like, okay, cool. Like this is gonna be like good because I can like, not only is she like have her shit figured out, but I'm working on my shit at the time, and
Yeah,
I feel like I've made a lot of progress and she's helped me along the way. So
yeah.
I do
That's
think it can be discouraging to be in your mid 20s and like dating, because I have
yeah,
friends who are like, bro, like, and it's unfortunate. It really is.
yeah. No,
And then you meet someone that you like, but they're just like they like to smoke weed every day or like drink
yeah.
every day, and you're like, oh god, here we
I'm
go,
like, yeah,
another
dude.
one of
That's
them.
literally like 80, dude. I don't. So I mean, yeah,
Yes,
I'll
dude,
drink here and there. I don't
20s,
smoke, and
man.
dude, I don't vape. I don't smoke anything, bro. So literally
Yeah,
every single time, like every single time, I meet somebody, they're like, "Oh, do you smoke?" And I'm like, "No."
no,
I'm like, I don't have anything against it, but like, I'm like,
yeah,
no,
but I
I
don't
don't.
personally. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't personally do it, and so then
Yeah,
it's just like, ah, yeah,
it's an interesting time for dating and relationships,
yeah,
because
dude,
even when Jocelyn met me, I was drinking like crazy and I like
yeah,
finally got my shit together. But I was like, when, like, and it's like everyone has this like, we're young and dumb, like just do whatever. It's like, but
yeah,
once you mature, you realize like there might be a time and place for that depending on your personality. But in
yeah.
reality, man, it's like you don't want to create all this baggage that you're gonna have. You
No,
know what I mean? And you don't even know you're creating it. Like
yeah,
it said, like we don't have to get into the, subject, because there's a lot of different views on like body count and stuff. But like there have been
oh
studies
yeah,
that come out that like women who sleep with like more than five guys, like have a higher chance of like not being satisfied in their marriage. And it's like there is like evidence to back these things up. You know what I mean? So it's like people are acting reckless. I had a time in my life where I was being crazy. I was being
Yeah.
very like I just didn't care about life in general, kind of.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like oh, I just need to have a phase. It was kind of like, not coming back, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't think people often like realize what they're doing because it
Yeah.
is very you see people kind of living this like they want to live this crazy life. They want to do all these things. And then as soon as they like graduate college and find a job, oh, they want to start a family and find a perfect guy.
It's
It's like,
it's
okay,
it's
but
a
is the
crazy
perfect guy?
transition.
Yeah, it's like the perfect guy is not looking for someone that has acted like that. Like that's what I
Yeah.
always like. Me and Jocelyn have had this conversation. And again, like I'm not judging anyone. I think everything,
Mhm.
like everyone kind of figures out their life eventually, hopefully, if they work on themselves. But it's very much like I met her and like every other girl that I know that was her age is like out partying every single night. Like they're dropping out of college because they aren't doing their shit, and it's like, and on top of that, it's like there's multiple dudes a week coming in here. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
like opened my eyes to be like Jocelyn's not like this, but her friends are, and it gave me like I saw this, and I was like, but someday they're just gonna want to be like live a nice happy life with their husband that cares about them so much, and it's like Jocelyn was already the person that like my mindset, like the type of person that I am,
Yeah.
was looking for, because it's a huge turnoff to be like a dude and be like, oh, they just want to like and guys are worse.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%.
Just so we
I
don't
had
go
an
down the
interesting.
gender trail. Just so we don't go down the gender
Yeah.
trail because
Yeah.
I don't want to be
Oh, yeah.
like,
That's
oh,
a whole
like,
wormhole, dude.
yeah. I don't want to be like, oh, girls are dirty for sleeping with a lot of dudes. And not at all. Because
Yeah. That's
guys are significantly worse. Guys are just like, they don't even think about it, dude. You know?
Well, let's spank one out real quick. Let's
Yeah,
just.
literally. And then it's
Yeah.
like, well, like, how do you. And like some people are super progressive that like they work out together, they meet each other. Hey, we both got like 20 bodies.
Yeah.
What's up? Or like 50 bodies.
Yeah.
But I guess it's
Yeah.
a case by case person. But I
Hmm.
mean, the reason I bring that up is just to like kind of encourage people to like think about the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Most definitely.
But I say
People.
that because I
Mhm.
wasn't like that. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if anyone would have told me that at that time, I would have been like, screw you, man. Like, get out of
Yeah.
here. So it might be
Yeah.
something that some people have to go through, might be something that some people don't.
Yeah. I got an
But
interesting take on baggage. I think
let's hear it.
um I think in a way, just play let's play a like little devil's advocate real quick.
Yeah.
In a way, baggage could not be a bad thing
Yeah.
because you could look at it like, okay, someone has all of this stuff, they've been through all of these things.
Yeah.
Um they've been through all of these experiences. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, they have more that they've went through, so they could possibly have more figured out and know more exactly of what they
Yeah.
want, what they don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like
100%.
everyone has a little bit of baggage. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I feel like if two people are going to come together and decide, hey, we're going to try to make things work, they need to be able to let go of their baggage and not carry that baggage on into
Yeah.
that next relationship, because that's where a lot of problems happen. Is a lot of You'll have a conversation like with your partner, and then let's say she'll say, oh, well, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. My ex, they've always done this, or they've always talked to me like this, or they've always been this way with me. It's like, okay, cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
Your ex done that. I'm not your ex. It's like,
Yeah.
don't I'm a completely different person.
Yeah.
So it's like, as long as I feel
Yeah.
like as long as they don't bring that into
Yeah. As
the
long as
next
it's kind of like
relationship.
figured out. Yeah. Or like,
Yes.
oh, they're made aware of it. Cause yeah, I'm
Hmm.
not saying like baggage. Like, I'm not saying if you're 28 and you've been through a lot that you have issues. It's more so
Yeah.
if you aren't
Yeah.
working on those issues.
Yeah.
Or
Hundred
it's
percent.
like, yeah, I mean, like I've had crazy like insecurity issues come up from past relationships. And it's like, but there's a difference between like projecting that onto the next person versus being like, hey, this person isn't that person. So
Yeah.
logically it doesn't even make sense to like, you know, feel
Yeah.
that way with them. So yeah, baggage isn't bad. I mean, it's experience at the end of the day once
Yeah.
you
I
like
just did it.
figured out.
I just mentioned that just to have a little bit of an
No, I'm
argument,
glad you did that
just to
because
put like
I
another point
don't.
of view. Just
Yeah, I don't want the message to be if you have baggage
no,
and you're
you're
scared.
good.
Yeah, yeah, but um, so I wanted to, like, something that I thought about was, how you work on yourself makes you feel more secure. Because from my point of view, it's very much like I have this kind of mindset that I've been able to develop. That's like I feel secure and I'm confident because I'm giving 100% of myself, like, to everything though, like in my fitness life, in my relationship. And I feel like almost the easiest way to say it is that if you're giving 100%, like, it creates a sense of security because you know that you're not like choosing to lack anywhere, right? So it's very much like I feel a lot of insecurity in people stems from them knowing they can do better. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. That
Yeah.
that's exactly true because I saw a thing where it's like, okay, the people, so if someone, the person that is most worried of going back to cheating, the person that is most worried about someone cheating, let's say a guy, for example, is being very over controlling to a girl because
Yeah.
he's worried about her cheating. He's all the time trying to like look through her phone, look and see, try to find different things. More than likely, if someone is trying to do that, then they themselves are doing that type of stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I mean, I
It's
seen a
yeah,
thing
it's
on
like
that. It's like,
projecting like kind of how you feel onto another person because
yes,
it's like they might not even be thinking a certain way, but you're like you're doing it, but it's really because you do that thing.
yes,
I've
hmm
been there for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I've been
it just
like
makes, it's just like you were saying about security in the relationship. It just makes you less secure because it's like, okay, like let's say me, for example, I'm doing it. As it makes you,
yeah.
it'll make me less secure because it's like, okay, I'm doing this. What's stopping that person from doing it? And it's like, okay, like let
Yeah.
me look through her phone. Let me look through this. I've never been that way. I'm just putting that. I've never been like, okay, like let me look through your phone. Let me look through your contacts. I've
Yeah.
never been that way because I feel like I should be able to trust that person. And if I don't, then if
Yeah.
I'm not able to, then obviously, things
Yeah,
shouldn't
yeah.
be. But
Exactly. Yeah, my past relationships have kind of been like almost like, hey, like not even accusing, but being like insecure about them doing a certain activity
yeah,
because I know if I were to do the same activity that
yeah,
I would probably like not that I would like cheat or anything, but like I know like how bar environments are. I've spent plenty of
yeah,
time there. So it's like
yeah. It's always good to
and then
ask
and
questions. But
yeah,
yeah,
and then that the person's like, I don't even think like that. Like, why are you saying this? And it's like you're
yeah.
saying it because that's how you are. And I'm like, it's kind of true actually. And
No.
now, yeah, you live and you learn, I guess, huh?
Oh, no, 100%, dude. I mean, it's always good to it's always good to ask questions. I feel like, but then whenever you're actually like taking actions into your own hands, rather
Yeah.
than trusting that person to be able to answer that question, is where things get a little dirty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I said this on the last episode, so I don't wanna make the podcast a broken record, but I think it's helped me enough to repeat it on this episode,
Yeah,
is that the biggest thing with me and Jocelyn is when I started dating her because I, like, learned from my past mistakes. I literally was like it's, like, as simple as the golden rule, man. It's like
yeah.
I will not do anything to you or like I will do to you what I want you to like be like to me. Or so it's
So
like
it should be.
even
Yeah,
yeah, even if it's something that doesn't really matter, if it would give me like sort of like anxiety or stress if she would do it, like I don't do it. Even if it's
yeah,
like harmless, you know what I mean? Like if I
yeah,
got together with some of my buddies that I used to drink way too much with, that would probably like make her a little like anxious or like if she used to get crazy with certain people, I'd be like and she wanted to hang out with them, I'd be like okay, be
yeah.
safe. But at the whole time I'd have this and I know that I would feel that way. So like I don't or I wouldn't do that to her. That's just an
That's what it should
example.
be. I
But
feel like that's what I did
yeah,
in this
it's
last one.
so
Everything
simple,
I've
man.
done was just like, okay, how would this person feel if I did this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of
And
those
it's
things
so
that you got to
simple. And
constantly think about.
I feel like it yeah, I feel like people don't think about that.
Yeah,
Like, cause I have been in a place before where I never thought about it like
yeah,
that. And I'm like, damn, this is so simple. Like life in the
yeah.
big picture is quite simple, but
It's
I do
just, I
also
mean,
think
just
that
always putting
understanding
yourself in another person's shoes, basically,
yeah. And like
is
doing that just as a person in general, not even in relationships. But
absolutely, yeah,
yeah, man, that's good. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of maturing and working on yourself, because
Yeah,
I have
that's
definitely like
the big thing.
I look back and I'm like, holy shit, man. But like working on yourself is hard, People don't want to face their issues, man, and I think that's part of the reason I created this platform is to be like, no, it's good. Like you got to focus on your mental health and like what is good for you, you know?
I think a lot of the problems that people run into is a lot of times people just don't know where to start. People are like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to take this time. I need to work on myself. I need to work on myself. And then it's just like, okay, like where do I start? What do I need to work on? That's one of the main things you need to ask yourself. If for people out there that don't know where to start, ask yourself, okay, what are some issues that came up? Well, what
Yeah.
what can you remember that's happened in a particular, it doesn't always have to be a relationship. It could just be in day-to-day life. Like,
Yeah.
okay, what was a situation to where, okay, I may have been in the wrong,
Mhm.
and why did that happen? And then
Yeah.
it's just like assessing those things, and then that's whenever you can start piece by piece, like fixing things. But the way I see it, dude, for people that's not in the gym, get in the gym. That's if you don't know where to start, get in the gym,
Yeah.
because you will learn a lot of lessons and a lot of like disciplines just by, if you're able to stay consistent in the gym.
Yeah,
And
that's one
that's a big
topic I
thing.
wanted to bring up with you is like how the fitness in the gym has helped you out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I was saying, like definitely discipline, because it's kind of like one of those things where people can, especially people that's new to the gym, they can say, "Oh, like I want to start working out." Okay,
Yeah.
and then like people tell me this all the time. People are like, "Oh, I want to go to the gym. Like I want to start working out." First thing I say is do it. And
Yeah.
so, and then I'm like,
Exactly.
"Okay, you want to do it? Do it. You do it."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
then they come up with this excuses like, "Oh, I don't have the time. I don't have this. I don't have that." I'm like, "Well, Planet Fitness, depending on the area, a lot of times it's 24/5. It could be
24.
24/7. The thing is,
Yeah.
if you want to do it, you will do it. If you want to make the time, you will make the time. You're making time to go out to those bars on the weekend with your friends.
Yeah.
Instead of going out
Exactly.
to those bars, you could be spending an hour into the gym. And then, if you want to go hang out with your friends, go do it. But at least you're getting some progress done. You're getting some work in.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they'll get it, and then they'll do that. They'll get into the gym. And then the next step is staying in the gym. You can go
Yeah.
to the gym, but staying in the gym. And a lot of times, like after 2 weeks, a lot of people, they'll just give up. For a
Yeah.
habit to
Mm,
start,
yeah.
you got to go consistently 2 weeks to
Yeah.
do something, to like create a habit out of something.
Gotcha.
Um, and it's to the point now to where I'm like, okay, well, if I didn't go to the gym today, I feel like my day's not complete.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, that's literally what
Yeah, like,
I said those exact words to Ethan. I was like,
yeah.
I'm at the point right now where it's not even like I work out to feel good. It's like if I don't work out, I feel like shit.
Yeah, I feel like I
So
got nothing done that day. It's like, okay,
yeah,
well, I did this, I did that. Okay, cool. So what about me? Like, what did I do for myself? What did I do? Because, and like I was saying about the whole thing with the lessons and the discipline that you can learn in the gym, like I feel a lot of like going back to relationships. I feel a lot of relationships can be learned, like tips and things could be learned through the gym, and lessons could be learned through
yeah,
the gym, just by overcoming obstacles.
yeah,
Like,
for
what
sure.
for me, it's heavy lifting. Whenever I start pushing like heavier weight and everything,
Yeah,
it's kind of like, okay, I'm thinking in my head before I start this. Okay, I want to I want to at least try to get three, or at least want to try to get five. It's up.
yeah,
Whenever, like in my head, whenever I'm pushing it, let's say I get to three. In my head, I'm like, okay, let me try to get to five. Then I push.
yeah,
If I get to five, I'm like, okay, let's just see how much more I can do. And
yeah.
it's kind of just like getting there, being like, okay, now I got here. Now what?
Hmm.
And then you just pushing
Yeah,
past, and then just getting better and better, and then stronger and
just
stronger.
yeah, it just builds character. Like that's a simple way to say
Absolutely.
it. How I see it, I'm just like I don't think about it that often, but I'm like, dude, like the gym is like it's the physically, it's the hardest part of your day.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
putting something in your day to be like, okay, nothing else that happens today is gonna be worse than this, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, but I also love it, so it's like
Yeah.
it's a it's a good thing, yeah.
As
But
well
it's
as
definitely helps build like self discipline, like structure, and then on top of that, just like you said about like the reps and stuff. Something as simple as that is just like building a mind that's like resilient. You know what I mean? Like when hard
mhm,
times come up, you this like craft something in your head to be like, no, I can do more, or I can do better, or I can reach that next level, and
Yeah,
I think that's important. So, I mean, my personal views, I think there is like a whole lot. I haven't like really researched it too much, but I think there's a whole lot of just like I think fitness could solve a lot of people's like mental health problems. I really do.
absolutely.
Like and unfortunately we do live in a society where it's more there is a place for medication. I'm going to say that
Yeah,
cuz I don't want it to come across wrong, but um I do think sometimes it's like I talked with my dad a little bit about it. It's like, dude, like if you say you're depressed but you're in your room watching TV every day, it's like you have your answer right there.
you're
You're
creating that
literally
for
doing it.
yourself. You're
Yeah, you're
creating
creating
that
the
life
environment.
for
And it's like, yeah,
yourself. Yes.
and it's like fitness is like kind of the opposite end. It's like I feel like significantly better, like my mind's in a clear headspace when I do this thing. So why would you not? But then on top of that, it's like your body's also like changing too and becoming better,
Yeah,
stronger, and all of this,
absolutely.
like we talked about having a future mindset in relationships, but all of this like think about when you're 50, you know what I mean? Like you want to be a dad that's like can do stuff with your kids,
Yeah.
and people
If
don't
it
think
puts your
about
mind
how.
into a zone. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, if people don't think about like how, like being fit and like when we're young is important for like when we're gonna be older. I think
Yeah.
and it's just like it doesn't even matter, man. It doesn't matter if it's walking, or it could be the simplest thing is like throwing football with your friends outside.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I'm so passionate about that subject because it's helped me a lot. I literally have like you listen to music that's like about killing yourself and you lift heavy shit and then you come out of the
Yeah.
gym and you're like, you know what?
Oh,
Life is good.
100%, dude.
And
Dude,
it's just
I'm
like it's therapy, man. It really
yeah,
is.
just
And
blast some
there's
like heavy metal,
yeah.
like or some rock shit in there, dude. Just freaking go at it. Dude, it's like I was talking to one of the food runners the other day because I
Yeah.
saw him in the gym. I forgot his name. I think his name is David, I believe. Um, I saw him in the gym at Planet Fitness in Carolina Forest, and like weeks ago, and then he brought it back up the other day. And then
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I was like, so how many? So like, have you still been out there? Like, are you still there? And he's like, no. He was like, I only went that one time. I was like, why? He was like, I liked it, but he was like, my friends, they don't really go out there a whole lot, or they haven't really been as like, consistent and stuff. So like, I just haven't really went. And I was like, okay, so then what about you? And he was like,
Yeah,
"What do you mean?" I was like, "Dude," I was like, "Look, I'm not
yeah.
like." I was like, "Bro, your friends aren't gonna make your body grow. Isn't gonna make your body change in the way that you want it to,
Yeah.
or and make you feel good the way that you want to. I mean, they can
Yeah.
they can hype you up and everything all you want, but I mean, at the end of the day, like there's you got to do stuff for yourself." And I
Yeah.
told him, I was like, "Dude, honestly, I was like, dude, if you go to the gym before work." That honestly, going to the gym before work puts me in the best mood.
Yeah.
It puts me in the best mood because I'm like, it's
I
like
agree
you
with
were
that. Yeah.
saying, it's like you were saying, a while ago about okay, this is the most toughest thing that I'm putting on my body today. Like I can handle the rest of the day. For me,
Yeah.
that's the same thing with work. It's like okay, I'm stressing myself at the gym, like doing different workouts and pushing
Yeah.
hard. It's like okay, what freaking Nancy and the chair over there, what she's
Exactly.
got to say
Yeah.
is it gonna piss me off?
Yeah,
Um,
because yeah, exactly.
it's
That's
like
yeah.
yeah, but I mean yeah, I feel like there's a lot of benefits that can come from it, especially like emotionally. I feel like emotionally you'll have more of a tolerance to be able to handle certain things, and
Yeah.
I've seen a thing where it was like the scariest people are the nicest people.
That's
The
true, yeah.
scariest looking people are the nicest people. It's
Yeah.
the ones it's the ones that look good and that look perfect. They're the ones that you got to worry about. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, there was that thing. It's like compares like kindness versus being nice, and it's like
yeah,
being nice is like weak because that's your only choice. But someone who's being kind is like someone who is like basically this isn't a very like military view, but it's
yeah,
basically someone who is capable of violence but chooses to be kind to people. You know what I mean? And
yes,
it's more of an authentic like. That's why the scariest people, the scariest looking people, are the nicest people because it's like they could break you in half if they want to, but
yeah,
they choose to be kind. It's better than like someone who can't do shit and is just nice to you because if they're mean to you, you could kick their ass, you know?
yeah. It's
That's
kind of
kind
just
of
like
like,
or they have something to gain off of it. It's
yeah,
their
exactly.
security. Yes.
But
Yeah.
um Yeah, man. So we're getting kind of towards the end here, but
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of talk with you as like uh a fellow dude that's in the gym all the time.
Good.
Let's talk about humility, dude, and like what how do you check yourself? Because I oftentimes I have things that I do because I like obviously, I like the gym photos, all that shit too. And I looking at bettering myself, sometimes I do slip into this mindset of like the everyone else is lazy as shit, that type of thing. And it's
Yeah,
like,
so
hold
I
on,
get what you're
hold on,
saying.
hold on, hold on. It's like I gotta check myself. Like I'm not better than someone like just because I do this. You know what I mean? Although it is building your confidence, how do you or like how does humility or like being humble like play an important role in
Yeah.
your life or just in general, do you think?
For the most part, the way I've been raised and from how I've grown up, I've pretty much always kind of been like a I haven't I've always been a person that like I've been confident in the things that I do and
Yeah.
how I approach things, but I've never been the type of person to like kind of like rub anything in anybody's face or kind of like judge anyone specifically because oh, they're not doing the same things I'm doing or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, everyone has their own life, everyone has their different battles that they're facing every single day.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, no, I did run into a situation where I was I was on the game with one of my friends. We were playing some Call of Duty,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he was just I was just there talking about the gym and stuff and like different goals and everything that I have,
Yeah.
and just asking him about his life because he works in the restaurant. He works in the restaurant industry, and I
Gotcha.
was telling him things that like I want to do and just
Theo,
putting
come
my
here.
goals
You want a
out
treat?
there,
A treat? Come here. You're
put
good.
my goals out there and everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was sitting there asking him. I was like, dude, I was like, so like what's your plan? Like, what do you want to do? And he was like, honestly, he was like, dude, I'm good where I'm at. And I was like, what do you mean? He was
Yeah.
like, he's like, I'm fine just cooking steaks for the rest of my life. And it kind of upset me because I was like, dang, dude. I was like, you're just gonna be complacent. Like you don't want
Yeah.
more for yourself. You don't want because I was like, dude, I was like, no, we have to have people out there that do these jobs. No one else is gonna
Yeah.
do them. But I mean, he's making like $13, $14 an hour. With the
Yeah.
economy where it is right now, that's not
Rough.
sustainable. That's
Yeah.
not sustainable.
Rough.
And for me, because I've grown up with this dude, and
Yeah.
I love him like a brother. So for me, hearing that, it kind of like hit me, and I was like, dude, like it was like in my head, I was like, okay, like he doesn't want more for himself, but I want more for him,
Yeah.
and like
That's interesting.
I kind of got like a little harsh because I was kind of just like, dude, like why are you? I was in my head, I was like, dude, no, like you need to do better. You need to like set more goals for yourself. I was like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. But then I later on, I was sitting there thinking back on it, and I was like, who am I to say what someone needs to do? Who am
Yeah.
I to say what someone needs to do with their life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
has their own life, everyone has their own journey. However they go about things is however they go about things, and whatever decisions they choose to make and however they choose to live life is
Yeah.
exactly the way that that's supposed to be for them.
Yeah. That's
And
cool.
yeah,
I actually I think there yeah, it's such a gray line kinda because to me it's very like there is something to be said about just finding inner peace in your own life. You know
it's-
what I mean? There is something to be said about being like that's kinda like an admirable thing to be like, "Hey, I have
mhm,
this normal job, but I love my life and I'm chill."
yeah,
Like, I think that's cool, but then there's also the side of you not wanting it's more so you don't wanna see, like, wasted potential, like, if you see potential
yeah,
in someone, you're like, "You could do more." But,
yeah,
yeah, it's a fine line, and I always try to think about it, like, for myself because 'cause I'm
yeah,
like, I obviously have these big goals and these big dreams, but at the end of the day, like, a good thing about us and our generation, I think, is we're more aware and we like to like, I can say, "Hey, don't ever let a career, like, ruin your relationship," or, "Don't ever let a career,
yeah,
like, take your family time away." Like, we can be aware of these things where, like, I feel like generations before weren't as,
yeah,
aware of, so even though I do have these goals, I'm like, there is something to be said for like the small things matter. You know what I mean? Like it's like, yeah, I'd like to make a lot of money. I like to do a lot of cool things. I like to reach new levels. But at the end of the day, if you have the people you love and like you have
yeah,
safety and you have like food, shelter, like it's a beautiful
yeah,
thing to have like
absolutely,
like you're content when you need to be, but you're not when you need to be, which
Yeah.
is it's a balance,
Mhm.
because if you were just content all the time, then it's a very unhealthy lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Very.
Just
You
the
get too comfortable.
overweight yeah,
Too
you
comfortable.
can't like,
Yes.
yeah, I like just eating ice cream, watching TV every day. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
me too, but like you're gonna, yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
crazy. But yeah, no, I don't know. Like because the thing is like I'll hear him talk about, hey, like I want to do this, I want to do that, like I want to do this. And then
yeah,
like immediately my question is okay, because like I hear this plenty of times before. My question is like, okay, how are you gonna do it? It's like, okay,
yeah,
what are the because everything you need steps to everything. Any
steps,
goals, you
yeah,
need steps. And it's like, okay, what steps are you going to take? And are you actually going to do those things? And it's like, we'll
yeah,
have those conversations and stuff, but I've kind of chilled out on those conversations because I've kind of just like, I don't know. I care too much. I care too much
yeah,
about like what, like, because if someone, basically, if I care about someone and they tell me that they want to do something and that they want to do this, they have these goals, it's like, okay, well, because I'm your friend, because I care about you, because I have some sort of love and
yeah,
camaraderie with you. I want to see you do great. I want to see you do those things that that you're wanting. So it's like, okay, so then
yeah,
how can I help push you and help, be there for you and however I can. But
yeah. I agree with
if
that.
someone's not going to do something, they're not going to do something.
Yeah, I've definitely like, I guess give up is the simplest way to say. I've definitely gave up like trying to encourage certain people because I'm like,
Yeah.
I have like friends and I'll hear my other friends be like still trying to encourage them, and I'm like, bro, like and you know it from your own life too. It's like when you want something, you'll do it, and it might
Yes.
never come. It might take 5 years for that person to understand that and to do it. But at the end of the day, I'm like, everyone's on their journey, man. And like you're either gonna eventually flip the switch and take off, or you're just gonna not. And I sometimes think like almost how I live is more of a influence on them than just saying something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like someone like your friend seeing you like grow and do new things and all this stuff, right? So watching you like do that, I think is more impactful than just being like, oh, Spencer always tells me I need to get after it more.
Yeah. It's like actions speak louder than words. It's
Yeah,
like that.
and the thing
Yeah.
about actions is like it's a time thing. Like it's gonna take,
Yeah.
it takes years to get to where you want to be, and like even then you still want more. So it's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, man. We're getting to the end, so I'll just wrap up, kind of
Yeah.
recap questions, even if we've already talked about them. Kind of like your final statement, closing thoughts. All right.
Absolutely.
So, what message would you give someone who is struggling with their mental health?
Honestly, I would say keep yourself busy. If you're struggling with mental health, and if it gets too bad, don't ever be afraid to look for help. Don't ever be afraid to ask for help. Um, if you need to, if like at the very beginning of this video, like we said, my TikTok is MTM Men's Talk Media. If you need to, just shoot me a message, and whatever you're going through, I'll be more than willing to help you out the best way in any way that I can, talk to you about it. And even if I need to make a video, a personal video, like talking about it and just trying to relate with you and seeing how we can overcome this and steps that we can take to help you get better, then I will be more than willing to do that, because not enough people have that help. Not enough people have those resources and everything. And I
Yeah.
definitely want to be out there for someone to be able to
Awesome,
lean
man.
on.
So, looking into your future, let's just throw out some goals that you have, like mental health, not mental health, whatever it may be. What's your long term thing look like?
My long term thing is, honestly, in the next 5 years, if I'm not out of South Carolina, I want to be working in a hospital in Charleston. I love
Okay,
Charleston. I think Charleston is
I'm
beautiful.
going to Charleston next weekend, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, have you ever been there?
Yeah, yeah, I've been
Yeah,
there multiple times. My brother's coming to visit us, so we're taking him
oh,
down
that's
there.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, like I said, I'm going to school to be a surgical tech. But obviously, like I'm going to have different things on the side, like acting. I'm doing acting on the side whenever I can. It's kind of hard right now. I'm working like 6 days a week,
yeah,
working out back and
busy
then
man.
the hangout. But yeah, and then yeah, school. So I mean, I'm pretty busy, but whenever I can, if I'm able to get like commercials in or anything like that, then I definitely will try to do that. But other than that, I mean, yeah, just trying to put my head down, get to work. I have in the gym, dude. I'm trying to get to 180 by December. Trying to get to
Okay,
180 by
yeah, I
December.
saw that. I saw that. Yeah. What are you
I'm
at right
trying to do
now?
that. It's a struggle. I got so right now I'm on creatine. I have I don't know if the multivitamin thing called Animal Pack,
Okay.
and I have mass gainer
Oh yeah. Are
protein
you taking
powder.
that every day? The mass
Mass
gainers?
gainer, yeah, dude. I don't know how many scoops. So like, I've seen a thing where I'm supposed to take one scoop per day because it has 55 grams of protein per scoop. But I heard you're only supposed to, like, in your protein count, you're only supposed to get 50 to 60 grams of protein out of a protein shake per day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's
That's
yeah, the way I look at it, and this is just my this is bro science. It's not real science, but
yeah.
I just do just as much as you can. Who cares where it comes
Just
from?
freaking stack up on
In
it. Yeah,
my yeah, especially like if it's a weight gaining game. Like
yeah.
we're going off the topic of the podcast. I don't care, but if
That's
it's a
all
weight
good.
gaining game, dude, like I'm telling you, my ball like it is hard for me to put on weight. Like, what weight are you right
It's
now?
so hard, dude. Right there, right now I'm 160.
Okay. Oh yeah. So yeah, you got pounds,
Yeah,
dude, to put on.
I got
But
pounds, dude.
I was gonna start bulking again with my buddy, but I've been running more so for my cardiovascular, like
Yeah,
respiratory health. Um, so I'm sitting around like 178, but like when I
yeah,
bulked up to 200 pounds, like it was dirty. Like I was eating
yeah.
frozen pizzas,
Dude,
like
yeah,
just I was
dude.
eating donuts and ice cream and shit, man. Oh, look at this
I
dude.
had this morning. I had two sausage, egg, and cheese croissants. The little freaking, what is it called? Jimmy
The
Dean's.
Jimmy
Jimmy
Dean's,
Dean's.
yeah, dude.
Yeah,
They have like
yeah.
400 calories per thing. Yeah, you
They're
just
like
gotta eat
13
like
grams of protein each sandwich. I had two of those. I had two corn dogs. I had half of a grilled chicken that I had from last night. I
yeah, dude.
had
You
that
just
all
gotta
for
spam it.
breakfast, dude. And then yeah, I got to get that protein shake in. But yeah, no, that's how I started it off today.
I
And
really
I
think yeah, I don't know. I just eating like crazy because like the way I am, I fluctuate a lot of weight. Like hearing someone say they lost 2 pounds to me is hilarious because like I gain 5, lose 5 in a day, you know? So it's like my bulking journey was very difficult because I was like, I would hit like a 195 and I'd be like, oh yeah. And then I'd wake up and I'd be like 190. I'd be like, what the
yeah.
heck? You know? So
Like,
I was
what
like,
happened
for
overnight?
me, like to make it's like our everyone's body, I feel like sits at a you get to a point where you're putting on muscle mass and stuff and you kind of sit at a weight that your body's comfortable. And
Yeah.
then to push past that level is like very hard, you know?
So you know what's crazy? I don't recommend it, and I don't recommend it to anyone.
Yeah.
But I've heard that people that take steroids, it
Yeah.
pushes them past that freaking limit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
then,
So
like, let's
that's
say
like,
let's say they take it for a short amount of time, it puts them
yeah.
past that limit, and then whenever they stop, it kind of like helps them maintain to where they can get bigger.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't recommend it, but it's just what I've
Yeah.
heard.
It's like they describe it as like you go up 3 steps and then you come down 1, and then you go up
Yeah.
3 steps and you come down 1. So eventually you're sitting at a higher level. And that's why a lot of these dudes that like look like they're on roids, they're on
Yeah.
roids, and it's like
Yeah.
it's pushed them past their like natural like capacity. But
Mhm.
yeah, I would just like slam food.
Yeah, dude.
Creatine's good. But yeah,
I'm
that
like a
mass gainer
coyote in
shit,
a
man,
chicken
like
coop right now.
yeah, dude, just you gotta like drink like freaking 2 mass gainers a day. Who cares? No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Dude, honestly, dude, that's what I'm gonna start doing. That's what I'm gonna start
It's,
doing, dude.
the mass gainer that I took when I first started lifting was like 1,200 calories, one shake.
Dude, I don't even know how much this is,
Do you
dude.
have like
Yeah.
the green one? Like, is it
It's
called
a
Serious
big,
Mass?
it's a big ass like white jug.
Oh, okay. Yeah, look at the calorie count because
Yeah.
I mean I have buddies who are like they and science kind of backs it, but it's like it is really calories in versus calories out, you know? Like
Yeah.
if you eat this many but it's hard to eat like that, you know,
Yeah.
especially for us. I know for me, that's
It's
why.
expensive too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and to bulk healthy is like not only expensive but like just
Like nearly impossible.
everything. Everything. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say. It's impossible. Like I have to crush some
Yeah.
like crumble cookies in order to hit my calorie count if I'm bulking.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I
Cool.
appreciate having you on this call, dude.
Yeah.
thanks for everything.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing up like the hard topics that aren't as easy to talk about. I like that because I want this to be a platform where like at the end of the day, it's just real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's real. Like we talk about what's true, and like sometimes those things are uncomfortable to talk about, and everyone has their opinions. So that's fine. And to our viewers, thank you guys for watching. And I just encourage you, like, we come on here and we understand that everyone is like in their own journey, in their own path and stuff. The reason I created this platform is to like help others, right? So it's not like I'm not like necessarily, we're not trying to tell you how to live your life or anything like that. So I don't ever want this podcast to get that vibe. Um, so yeah, man, plug your Instagram and your TikTok one more time, and then we'll
Yeah.
get out of here.
All right, guys. TikTok is going to be MTM. That is Men's Talk Media on TikTok. Soon I'm going to be putting up an Instagram page to where you can follow and look at all of the stuff that we're going to be putting on there, a lot of the content. I'm going to be doing a lot of hikes pretty soon. That's a goal of mine pretty soon, is to be going traveling different places, doing some
Cool.
hikes, and then just delivering messages on that with that. Other than that, my current Instagram that I'm using right now is Spencer Allman Official. And that's, I don't really post on there too much, but you know, if you just want to look and get a little glimpse into my life, I mean, there it is
Yeah.
right there. But yeah,
All
thank
right,
you all.
man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate having you here, and yeah, dude, take it
I
easy
appreciate you
and
having me, man.
keep after it in the gym. Good luck on your journey to 180.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Absolutely.
Yep. See ya.
See you, man.